The Nerd Chat, an Xbox podcast.
Is a podcast celebrating all things gaming, food, and the good old days. Hosted by three BFFs, Daddy Diwali, Chipotle Bear, and Bubble Boy and Seven.
And new intern, X Bacon Gamin.
This is Cortana. And remember, don't make a girl a promise if you know you can't keep it. As always, Spartans, see you online.
I stand with Xbox. Oh, hello. Daddy Diwali here, and welcome to The Nerd Chat, an Xbox podcast celebrating all things gaming, food, and the good old days. We are so happy to be live streaming back on YouTube this week. Although I think Bacon and I held it down pretty well last week on our show. I don't know if you listened to it, Jose. Did you?
I did. You guys did. I think you did an excellent job, man. I missed being here, but you did wonderful.
So welcoming back. He's here. He says he's not sick, but he sounds a little off.
I'm not sick.
Co-host. Ay caramba, he is back. Chipotle Bear, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. It does feel great to be back. I really appreciate you guys not making me come on last week. I was really doing bad this time last week. Just had a spring cold. It tends to happen in education world. Even Bacon's wife was also sick. She was much stronger than I was, though, for sure. I was a little baby in bed trying to sleep it off. But missed you guys. Missed talking about Xbox. And, man, it has been an incredible week of Xbox news. I'm super excited to get into it.
Week. My gosh, you guys. So much to discuss. And please welcome the intern to the co-host, X Bacon Gaming. And speaking of X Bacon Gaming, happy 52nd birthday to X Bacon Gaming. Happy birthday, buddy. Bacon. Woo!
Well, thank you, gentlemen. It's 45. It's not 57.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You did your math right?
Anyways, well, as Chapo was sick last week, I've been down sick as a dog for the last 2 days. And have you guys ever tried any liquid IV from Walgreens?
Negative.
It's a lifesaver. You get sick.
What about the one from Costco?
Liquid
you tried that one?
IV? Is it like you insert an IV
into
your veins?
It's like Pedialyte, but like way more potent. Snapped me right out of it today. It was great.
Wow. Well,
I'll have
IV
to pick
does
it up,
stand for intravenous, if I'm not mistaken. So the labeling
so
there
good.
is a little off. I'm
You
just
drink it. It's liquid IV.
Guys, what a week. What a day. I mean, obviously it's been a crazy week since Bacon and I discussed the CMA stuff. I don't even care about that anymore. This Xbox interview that happened today, we're going to jump right into it. I cannot wait. Such crazy news. I'm excited to be here because I'll be honest with you guys. After last week and the launch of Redfall, I was a little down. I was like, do I even want to do this?
You were a lot down.
Do I even want to do this anymore? Do I even want to dedicate more of my life to Xbox? And then Phil comes out with some humility and honesty and speaking facts that I want to point out, been saying for years now. And I am so rejuvenated. I cannot wait to talk about all things Xbox gaming in the good old days. But before we do that, I hope she's watching right now. Jose, let's jump into some huge Nerd Chat shoutouts. I remembered. This is the biggest shout out of all shout outs to Alina Askins, Godine Askins, Alina. Shouting out our number one Nerd Chat fan. She is, of course, the daughter of one of our good friends, Michael Askins and
Shout out to
Laura
Askins.
Godine. Shout out, Alina. I am so sorry. I promised her that I was going to shout her out a couple weeks ago, and I got the saddest text from Askins the next day. Here, you know what? I'm just going to play it for you guys because I'm embarrassed. It was embarrassing, and I feel so bad. So, Alina, I did not forget you this time, and this is... Keep in mind, I forgot, and this was the text the next day. Here it is, folks.
You didn't shout me out. You owe me $20.
You hear that? I apparently made a bet. I was going to shout her out
the truth
and give her $20. So I promise to get that to you as soon as I can. But Huge TNC shout out to Alita. We really do appreciate you being here. And shout out to your brother, Zach, as well. And shout out to Askins, because I know as much as he wants to deny it, he's a big TNC fan too. So, and Laura. Laura is probably hating on us right now, but I'm sure she's watching, hopefully, as we speak. Shout out to everyone in the Askins family. Let's move on to some more shout outs very quickly. Huge TNC shout out to Gamer Graham at GTM618 on Twitter for following us. Jose, what's our sub count at this week? Or did we make any improvements? Are we stagnant?
Official sub count for us is
Don't
actually.
tell me it went down.
What are your guesses without looking? What are your guesses?
I have no idea.
And bacon yours too.
Oh no!
My guess is 127.
Oh,
128, baby. We're up at one. We're up 7 from the last
Okay.
time I recorded. So we appreciate everyone adding us there.
And speaking of that bacon, did you add to the breakfast burrito counter? Did you hear what I had last week?
I did not make it that far yet, so I will add it right now. You tell me.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to debate with you. Is the whole family got 6, but I only ate 3. So should we add 3 or 6?
No, it's our count collectively as the host.
It's just the 3 of us. Okay, so add 3 to the count. I think we're going to need 24.
We're 24 now.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
Thank you so much. Very bizarre there. I just tried to go into YouTube right now. It said I was offline. No idea what that was about. But guys, let's jump in to Xbox dramatic news for the week.
News team, assemble!
News story number 1 breaking the internet today.
It really is.
The Kinda Funny XCast. Shout out to Snowbike Mike, Gary Witta, and Paris, aka Vicious696, I believe is his Twitter handle. Paris Lilly. They did a phenomenal job with this interview, something we all are aspiring to get to someday with Phil Spencer, head of Xbox. Guys, I was so into this interview. I listened to their post-interview show today talking about the debriefing after the episode as well. I listened to Kinda Funny Games Daily's show focused on the show. And then I think I listened to something else. Incredible news. And can't, like Bacon said, just honesty and candidness from Phil Spencer, head of, what is it, Xbox Games or something? I don't know what his new title
Head
is.
of Xbox.
It's definitely head of Xbox, but there's a clear title. But anyway, if you have not listened to this interview, if you are a video games fan at all, I don't care if you're a PS fanboy, a Nintendo simp, or you hate video games, go listen to this interview, because just for some context, Xbox has had a tough week. They're trying to buy Call of Duty Activision Blizzard. That got blocked in the United Kingdom. Then we have the launch of the first $70 first-party exclusive game to start off our new Xbox, a great game every quarter, the new start of Xbox delivering quality games to very subpar critic reviews, and I still haven't played it. We'll talk more about that later. It's not, people are destroying this game. Do I think it's a little exaggerated? Yes, but I'm not going to go there right now. Then we have the information of the financial results of Xbox selling 30% hardware sales down year over year. Content services up, but overall, people are struggling in the Xbox land. And then we get this interview that, shout out to Kinda Funny again, who kept the interview on, and shout out to Phil Spencer. He could have bailed.
Yep.
Shout out to him for sticking with the interview and them asking him the tough questions. Gentlemen, again, we're going to focus all in on this, basically this episode. We'll get into Redfall under what we've been playing, but just so you know, this is going to be the focus, and then quick stories basically afterwards. So let's jump into the interview. I've pulled quotes here. Here we go. First point I wanted to ask you guys about, 7-minute mark. Phil said he won't push back against creative ambitions of teams. Arcane had a good track record, but this time they just missed their vision. Continuing on, 9:15 around that mark. Phil responds to Redfall. Does a team have a creative vision, and did the team reach it? That's not a delay question. Some games will be 80s, some games will be 60s. We can't be afraid of that when we publish games. Redfall missed on its vision. Delaying a few months would not have helped it. They are open, Xbox publishing is open to delays if more bugs are still happening in the game. Redfall's crashes and stats so far at launch fell into that normal range. So we'll take a break right there. Jose, Bacon, I want to hear your thoughts. I just wanted to point out that we should have seen this coming. When they stuck to that May release and they didn't even flinch at the 30 FPS versus 60 FPS, we should have known at that point nothing was going to save this game at this point. Bacon, you did not call this. Don't act like you were like high on or low on Redfall.
I was telling you guys last week.
He was.
That's not when we found out about the delay on the 30 FPS versus 60 FPS. So Jose, I'll go to you first since Bacon thinks he's the FPS warrior. Well, he is the
No,
FPS
he
warrior,
is.
right?
You don't have to think he is.
What do you think about this notion that Arcane had a vision? And that's what I am hearing from the reviews, and they just simply did not hit it. But at the same time, Xbox want to encourage teams to try what they want to try. But unfortunately, this was a miss. Take it away, Jose.
I mean, here's what I'd say. I would say when we talked about this game for the entire last year, and by we, I mean the collective gaming space. I don't mean just this podcast and our friends. We have said the phrase "Arcane doesn't miss." We have said that multiple times. We said that
they missed, Jose.
You're right. But what I'm saying is that he's not wrong in that when he went to them and said, what is your, like, so we're talking like 5-6 years ago, right? They go to Arcane and say, what do you want to make?
Was it 5-6 years ago? Because when did we get them? 2020, right? So we're talking 3 years ago, maybe
Okay.
3.5.
The time doesn't matter. I'm saying at the point where Xbox
get
is
more
working
into
with
that.
Arcane about the vision of the game, Arcane says, we want to do this vampire game. It's very different than what we've done before, but we really like it. We're passionate about. And Phil's right. I think he's right to say that we're not going to stamp on their creative vision and say, no, you're really in the science fiction realm. You need to stay there, as opposed to going into this horror realm like that. I think that's the right move. I do agree with him that it's not like I've played Redfall for about 3 hours at this point. I want to play more. It's just been a crazy busy week with the end of the year and stuff and being sick. I've enjoyed it. Bacon and I will talk more about that later because we're a little bit on different sides of the board there. But I will say, even I love Arcane and I love horror. It's just like I was like, oh, this isn't quite what I thought it would be. And it's fine. Again, I'm having a good time, but it's not a wow like a way that Prey was, right? I know we talk a lot about Prey, and Prey I wasn't even
Or
hyped
Dishonored.
on. It was because I came into it very late. Dan was basically bugging me to play the game, and I was,
I was
like,
the only one
I'll freaking play
championing
this
that
stupid game. And you know what? But as soon as I got like an hour in, I freaking loved it. And when I finished it, I was like, man, I cannot
What a
believe I didn't
game.
play that sooner.
Game
Such a
of the
great
year 2017.
it was amazing. So I think the issue that I've had with it is that what Phil said, it just isn't blowing us away. Like, that's what we wanted. We wanted it because it was a headliner game for Xbox. We wanted it to be amazing. And here's ultimately, I don't want to keep talking forever. I want to pass to Bacon too. Here's where I go with this. If Phil had this mentality, if Xbox or Microsoft had this mentality that like we're gonna buy studios and acquire them, and because we want them to make the same game over and over and over, in the long run, that's a bad move. That is not a good idea to do. Right. I know what you're saying about, you can say Call of Duty. I know people are going to bring that up, but I'm saying like if they bought Arcane with the idea of they should make the same kind of game Prey over and over again, eventually that's going to get stale. They have to give that creative license. That's exactly what happened with Tango Gameworks, right? After coming from Evil Within,
Knocked out of the park.
Can you imagine
Ghostwire
that conversation
and Hi-Fi
of like we're gonna do Ghostwire, and they're like, okay, that's I get it. That's very in your realm. And then they're like, and then we want to do this other project, and they're like, wow, I guess that's cool. Go ahead. And it was a smash hit. Now, I will say a big difference there
smash hit that everybody seems to forget. Hi-Fi Rush doesn't count as a AAA. I can't stand that narrative. Sorry, keep going.
But I'm saying I think the biggest difference is the expectation piece, and that is a part that he addresses later. I know we're going to get to that.
Correct.
But that is, I think, a big piece. And so ultimately, to this question of, I think that when he mentioned that they did testing on it, they did public testing.
Did I have that in the notes, by the way, or is that
I don't remember? It might be that like it tested well. The vision was sold to the company well. Like everyone's like, okay, this is great. People are going to love it, and it just didn't hit because mostly I think the freaking I think it's a change from Prey, and I think that the FPS thing, like I fully
Yeah.
believe that people
I
just
I
get
I
so
I
down on the FPS thing.
I do have that in here. Before I throw over to Bacon, I do wanna reemphasize, guys, no one was more excited for Redfall for me. I drafted Redfall and went all in on Xbox. What a mistake that turned out to be, because you're right, I'm thinking Arcane doesn't miss. This game presented fairly well. Like, some of those trailers, I was like, "I'm hyped for
Dope.
this game."
Yeah.
And I'm so sad that it's not delivering. Like, it's just not there. Bacon, before I throw it over to you, I'll continue some more quotes from the interview around Redfall. Phil also thanked Gary Whitta. He said something about taking creative risks, and Gary said that it was a lose-lose for everyone when a new idea doesn't hit, whether it be in video games, movies, TV, etc. Because then they're like, well, maybe we should have just made Dishonored 3 or Prey 2,
I mean,
sequels,
yeah, please still do
sequels.
that for the record.
And we want that, but we also want new ideas there too, like your Ghost of Tsushima, even though I hated that you couldn't skip cutscenes in that. Couldn't stand that. Like your Horizons, like I guess Psychonauts 2 isn't really a new IP, but like
It was a
similar.
one time though.
Exactly. So tying into that, Phil said he appreciated that. And then he said, like you mentioned earlier, Jose, Phil said that Xbox's own internal, getting their mock reviews were 10 double-digit points higher than the 60s it has gotten on Metacritic. So their estimations were off. They were anticipating, hey, this might be a 74, 73, low 70s, mid 70s game. Might not blow people away like we all expect or want from Arcane with the history of Dishonored and Prey, but it didn't quite hit the mark. And they said, Arcane is committed to improving the game, and they have a roadmap to the 60 FPS. And I
No
can't remember
timeline.
exactly, which is a huge concern to me. Continuing on a little bit, we have to be transparent on what we're building and aspiring to in our games. We should have shown Redfall at 30 PS on Xbox, not on 60 on PC. This was a mistake. And I can't remember if I have it. Is it on here? Oh, yeah. When the 60 FPS thing came up with Redfall, we had Sea of Thieves and Gears teams looking to helping them with their experience with Unreal, but they weren't quick enough. Bacon, give me your reactions. Don't talk about Redfall negatively as a game. We already know you don't like it. We'll just keep that aside.
I want to hear a little bit of that too.
No, I'm saving all of Redfall stuff for what we've been playing. I want to save the Redfall conversation to keep completely separate. Focusing on the interview, Bacon, some of the quotes we've discussed with Phil Spencer. Give me your thoughts.
So with what Phil's talking about here, with not letting them, not stifling their creativity, the whole thing Xbox is doing right now is buying publishers. They're buying publishers so they can feed Game Pass. No way Matt Booty can oversee that much talent. So they're buying publishers, keeping everybody employed.
Why don't they have multiple people looking over this then?
Well, because they do. Bethesda has their own. Booty's over Xbox Game Studios, and then maybe Mike Ibarra will be over Activision when we acquire them.
You're assuming that's going to go through. Anyway,
so
go ahead.
If they did stifle stuff like that, we wouldn't have Sea of Thieves. We wouldn't have Grounded. We wouldn't have
Pentiment. All great games.
Right. So, they're right.
They're not
going to hit
anger, slanger, third-person narrative-driven action-adventure games.
With stealth elements over the shoulder.
Bow and arrows,
lots of rocks to crawl through. So I get the desire. And we'll talk about this game later, but this game needed a lot more oversight. I don't know who was in charge. I don't know who oversaw this. If God, I'm absolutely shocked that this game was released. But I'm not going to talk about that till what we've been playing. So, and then they need to hire people like us for their internal play testing to find out if games are worth it.
Seconded.
Hey, we're available. Xbox, just saying, we are available for hire. Heck, shit.
For free.
For free. Exactly. You don't have to pay us.
Like if they were expecting 70s out of this, I mean, you're right. A lot of the trailers, a lot of the cinematics were looking good. They did hit the marketing blitz, fairly hard near the end. Every YouTube video I clicked on had something Redfall, going up to it. I knew when I heard the embargo date for this, that was Monday night, right before the
Red
launch.
flag. But again, that was really close. Like, I'm talking, we should have known the few weeks ago when they weren't budging on the 30 FPS.
And then
that's my thing.
We all crucified that IGN reviewer that had the early look at it, and we were all busting at his gameplay that he doesn't know how to play an FPS. My gameplay looked a lot like that guy's did today, and I'm just like, nope, we were way too hard on that guy because,
well, I didn't watch it, so
the way that game plays, we all owe that guy an apology at this point.
But to the point of the interview, and I don't mean to cut you off, Phil even said that in the interview too, though. He said, I'm going
to get to that.
Okay,
that. We should have jumped in earlier, right? You're going to say something along those lines?
Well, just that they addressed the question of like, how did it get to this point? And he talks about how they should have jumped in.
Okay, yeah. So let's get to that. So continuing on with the interview, 1810 mark. Phil admitted, he's like, I've heard, on social media to fire Phil on Twitter. Xbox should pull out of gaming. And he directly addresses this. He says, we are committed to Xbox games and players as long as players are committed to our games. We let people down, referring to Redfall right now, and maybe the long break between games in 2021 or 2022, but we have to go on. And he says, having all these mistakes recently, Phil is still very excited for the showcase. And he did say that. He said, things are finally lining up for quarterly releases. Not every game we ship is for everyone, but we have to accept that. And he kept stressing, he's like, I can see the map now. I can tell he's frustrated because he's like, I can finally see it. We have a plan in place. I wish I could share everything with you guys. It's there. And then he says, like I said, not every game we ship is for everyone. We have to accept that, but he likes that diversity. And I want to applaud Phil right there for that, because that is the main reason why I continue to be an Xbox gamer, is because of the diversity in games. The reason I don't play PlayStation exclusive as much is, we already joked about it just a second ago, because they feel very similar. The third person, narrative driven action adventure games with stealth elements, climbing.
Which have their place.
Exactly,
Climbing,
but not every game. Like literally, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon, Last of Us, all have bow and arrow mechanics, all have stealth mechanics, all have RPG-esque elements, all have shooting elements, all have climbing elements. Like, it's very, very similar. So I appreciate that he's sticking to the diversity in games. And then Jose, is this where he said something about, okay, no. Okay, so this is further along. We'll get to your point. And then this is when Paris jumped in. And
hang on. Can I add one thing too, real quick there before?
Yeah, no, good. Before I move on, yeah.
So here's the thing. Here's what we hinted at this at the beginning. Here's why okay, let me back up. Dan tells us to do stuff for this podcast all the time, and he usually does it the day of the podcast while we're at work, when there is absolutely no time to do this.
It's true.
Bacon, back me up. Am I right?
Okay, Jose.
But
let me clarify.
No, hang on.
Let me clarify about what I tell you what to do. Jose, the reason I even tell you about like the thumbnail and
not that,
because I'm trying to save you time to get it done so we have it before.
No, that's fine. But I'm saying, but like, so here's the context. This today at like literally 1 PM, Dan's like, you guys should listen to this podcast before tonight's show.
I mentioned it yesterday.
Which, to be fair, there was a lot of time left in the day. It's a podcast. Like, it's not an unreasonable ask, but it was 40 minutes long. And I was like, dude, when am I going to listen to this? Well, it just so happened that I had to cover this study hall class today. So I had kids in the room, they were working, but I was working too. And I put it on.
To ban Goose, by the way, in the chat.
And ban our biggest fan.
It was an amazing podcast. Like, I legitimately came away. Like, I've played Redfall. I enjoyed it definitely more than Bacon, but I still am down by how much people are down on Xbox. It's just been a rough couple of days. And then I listened to this and I was legitimately like, man, I feel great. Like, I feel legitimately pumped, redeemed for the future after this interview. Now, granted, I know it's just words. I know it's just an interview. I know that's Phil's job, but I speaking as someone who's considered a leader to a degree in their job, part of my job is to get yelled at.
Definitely a
Part
leader
of
in your
my
job.
job is to get people mad at me.
The
and
Sarah Bond of Bear Creek.
to thank you, bud. I'll be Sarah any day. That that takes a lot of guts though, because not only is he taking that with grace of like, I see it, I understand it, I'm not mad
He's
about it,
taking
but
a
he's
lot of
taking the
blame.
feedback and he's like, I'm frustrated because I was hyped. I want to do better. I'm a gamer. I want the best for gamers. Like you could sense that in the interview. And he was also very good about not throwing people under the bus, not blaming other people, just saying
Correct.
you're
Great
correct and
point.
we need to do better. And I think that's a very hard thing to do when people are firing from all ends. So I want to give him that shout out before we move forward. Just wanted to throw that out. Shout out,
Great.
Phil. We love you, bud.
Shout out to Phil and absolutely Jose. Those are great points. You're absolutely right. As far as the leader is concerned, I didn't even think about it. He didn't throw anybody under the bus, and he did take a lot of accountability for what's been going on. And you're right, like guys, Miggy and Goose, go listen to this interview. I think Biggie's not a big Phil Spencer fan. It's a great
It'll
interview.
fly a 5. I know it's 40 minutes,
Dude,
but it flies by.
Dude, no, yeah. Okay. So moving on with the interview, 25-minute mark, and Paris jumps in. Xbox fans are tired of waiting until next year. That's all we've been hearing since Phil took over, basically. Phil reminds us the year started great with Developer Direct, which, by the way, guys, was awesome. Developer Direct is probably one of the best gaming little showcases they've ever done, hands down. In general, in gaming, Hi-Fi Rush, Shadow Drop, amazing game. Still my game of the year to this point. Age of Empires was a great launch, and he's absolutely right. We forget about that, and that was just a few short months ago, and I can't stand that. That's one point where I'm like, everybody's forgetting about how great the year did start for Xbox, and I completely agree with him on that. We can only look forward. I can say now we've got Starfield coming, Forza coming, Hellblade, he mentioned, which I put a question mark there. I was like, does that mean it's coming out this year? I don't know. Honestly, I think they should push that into the spring. I've seen good builds of Avowed, but you're right. Until our players are playing these games, it doesn't matter. So he again, like Jose said, the frustration there, you could sense it. And then does anyone want to talk to that quote, or should I read the next part?
Well, I think what he was important there was he talked about, this is where he talked about the Arcane thing, that he said, I'm again not blaming Arcane, and he didn't throw anyone under the bus.
No, it's further up.
Is it further up?
Yeah. I have
okay,
it right
I'm
here.
sorry. Continue.
Okay, so I'll jump into it right here because it's the next thing. Okay, so this was a great quote. Gary jumps in right now, and he said that when he was doing his writing, like little clinics and stuff like that, he took it from another guy, and I wish he would have said who gave him this quote, but he said, I'm sure it's a common quote. Anyway, it says, "Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of it, but that's only true if you can get past feeling sorry for yourself and sift through the rubble and figure out what we can learn to take from this failure." And I know Coach Goose is right there enjoying this quote right now. So Goose, shout out to Goose, the coach and all of us, the teachers and all of us. Failure is not the opposite of success, but a part of it. We need to learn and take things from our failures.
He's
and
absolutely right.
Phil responds. He said, I remember him saying, "Gary, I love that. I'm probably going to steal that." So I'm sure he's going to share that with everyone on the Xbox team. He said, "When we make acquisitions, there are games that are already in development." So I'm pretty sure he's referring to Redfall right now. "We need to do a better job engaging in games when the game is halfway done, when they are a part of Xbox now. We didn't do a good job early on engaging with Arcane and Redfall. We should have been there earlier for expectations. Again, until you play Starfield or our future games, my words shouldn't matter. But we did get there earlier with Starfield." So tying into that, I think it was Snowbike Mike. He asked immediately, and this was a great, and even Greg Miller was like, "You did a great job answering this question and getting an answer for him right away." He said, this is Snowbike Mike, "Should we expect clear communication on Starfield with the 30 versus 60 FPS?" And Phil said, yes. So we'll stop here since Jose wanted to talk about how Xbox should have gotten engaged more with Arcane earlier. I do want to just say quickly, this to me, I have way more confidence in Starfield. I think Starfield is going to be a great game. I think they are on top of it. And whether or not it's 30 or 60, who cares? We'll at least know on June, whatever it is, 11th. I'm way more confident in the game because it sounds like they got to it early. They're making sure that the Godfather is taking his time and getting everything done. And really, this game has to slap. So, Jose, you wanted to talk about Redfall really quick, and then Bacon, I'll throw it over to you for the Starfield comments.
I mean, there's not much more. It was just that point. That was exactly the point I was trying to make. Was that he said, like, look, again, not throwing Arcane under the bus, but like by the time we acquired them, this was already well in motion, the vision of it. And he, again, it was testing well. It looked good. He clearly had seen builds that were like solid enough, right? Who's telling me not to put my positive spin? I can't help it, buddy. It's just who I am. But ultimately, like they had to let it ride, right? And again, Phil even said, to be fair, he said, look, this just didn't hit. And that's okay. That doesn't mean they're cutting ties with Arcane. That doesn't mean that they're a huge failure. It just didn't hit in a AAA massive showstopper.
Yeah, and I want to be clear. I think we're all disappointed, not because it didn't hit. I don't expect every game to hit. Swimming in 7, swimming in 6s. I'm fine playing those kinds of games. You love Gotham Knights. By the way, one of the best-selling games last year.
I love Gotham Knights. I still do.
It was lower than what they
projected.
Exactly. What they projected and what we were hoping for. Like that's what really hurts about Redfall.
It does. And here's the other part that I think no one, at least I haven't heard this point yet, and this is just my conjecture here, is that right now there's a lot of games in everyone's mind. Starfield's a big one, but you know what is another big one that has actually been killing it is Diablo 4. And I don't mean that just that it's testing well, the betas have gone well, but they have done such a great job communicating about that game to the fans, to the patches, the betas. They're doing the stress test. What, right? This weekend? Is it this weekend or next weekend?
The 12th, I think.
I don't care. I'm waiting for the release.
What I'm saying though is that in the wake of this game that is just absolutely crushing it, and this was one of the first major Xbox exclusive titles that we wanted to hit, it's just hard to compete with that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's also not helping their situation in this as well. So Bacon, I feel like I haven't heard from you a lot. How have you felt so far with this?
What are your thoughts on Starfield and what those comments? Bacon?
Well, it's having the emphasis be on the 60 frames thing is a little bit misguided because not even 60 frames saves Redfall, guys. That's not the fundamental issue with this game.
Yeah, that's what
I've played it on both platforms. I played it on 30 today, and it is what it is. And it's the old adage that if Starfield hit, then Xbox wasn't going to get any credit for it because it was already in production and worked before Xbox
now from what we're hearing.
And if it's bad, then Xbox takes all the heat for it. So, I guess that's, the cross we bear when they acquire so much stuff that we can't count any of these games. Now, whatever Arcane makes from now on, Xbox can claim, but now that it's bad, everyone's like, oh, Xbox, you can't manage your studios. You can't do anything right. You guys suck. Wait for next E3. And I got to give Paris his props because he asked that hard-hitting question on Phil about, wait till next E3, the thing we've all heard for so long. And, I was shocked that they actually came at him with the questions they did. And I'm equally as shocked that he answered them as candidly as he did.
Proud of everyone.
I mean, we've all been hearing it. It's all over Twitter. That's all we have to hear nowadays. So, and again, if Starfield is 60, it's a completely different game. If it's 30, it's still it's not what I can't stress enough. The 60 is not the problem with Redfall. It's not even remotely
enough
close.
Redfall. Bacon. Okay. Are you more confident or less confident in Starfield release now?
Well, I don't
heard from Phil today.
We all know Bethesda's track record, and there's a reason why they're called Bugthesda. There's going to be issues. There's going to be issues in Starfield. But are they going to be breaking issues? Is it? I'll tell you.
Wait. I gotta push back a little bit on that. I played Fallout 4 at launch. I played it fine. I played Skyrim at launch. It was fine. The bugs although a little janky, was never game breaking or never took me out of the experience. I think people are a little harsh on Bethesda in general. Was it broken on PS3? Yes, but that was because of the cell architecture, and that was just a dumpster fire in itself over there. So I'm going to push back on Bethesda having these notoriously super broken games. I disagree with that. It wasn't like Cyberpunk. Everyone seems to forget how quickly how bad Cyberpunk was, or Battlefield 2042 at launch. Like, oh my gosh! But keep going.
But it's like it's frustrating because the PlayStation community really wanted Starfield, and they were all up in arms 3 weeks ago about there was a build of Redfall prior to Xbox acquiring it, and now they're taking away games from people, and now they don't want the game. So it's again this Twitter bubble that the three of us live in, and
Yeah.
then
And
5% of gamers live in. They're even
exactly.
talking and thinking about this
I'm
stuff.
glad you even brought that up, because we'll just talk about it really quick right now. But I'm just thinking about that. Like, how many people besides us in our little nerd chat really are that in tune to all of what's going on? And I'll give you a perfect example. Lieutenant Dan, Paul, right? You've all played Call of Duty with him.
Shout out Lieutenant Dan.
Literally all he plays is Call of Duty and Halo. He just recently, like a week ago, was like, Microsoft is buying Activision? Does that mean I'm going to get Call of Duty and Game Pass? And I was like, dude, it's been like this for almost 18 months now, the rumors of this. Yeah. So like,
He's
the
like, "You answer my
casual
question."
gamer, like Bacon said, maybe you'll get 30% of your install base buying exclusives. They don't care, and they don't look at this. And mostly everybody in the world is playing Fortnite, Call of Duty, Madden, FIFA. And we've discussed that so much on this show, but to us, the ones who are hardcore, hosting a podcast, listening to podcasts, just consuming gaming content at all time, Bacon in the Twitter streets. Yes, things seem so bad for Xbox, but are they really? Financially, it seems like they're doing fine, especially Microsoft. Microsoft's killing it. So let's be real.
I'll tell you that.
All right, so let's move on. 35-30 mark. Has Xbox focused too much on PC and is leaving the console audience behind? And Phil responded, we have a vision. Play across multiple devices and be a part of our ecosystem. And I have to say, I'm all in on this vision. I've never played on a PC before. Once I got a laptop that could handle it, there are times when I've traveled or been somewhere, I can play on my laptop. My saves transfer, it's incredible. I can check out a game. Billy, the last time he was on the show, downloaded Vampire Survivors. It was probably playing the whole time instead of engaging with us on the show. I really appreciate that ecosystem, that accessibility to play where you want. So I want to commend Xbox for that. I can't do that on PlayStation, and I hate that. I wish I could pick up my games on PlayStation easily. I don't even know if that's possible besides remote streaming, and I'm sure who knows how the saves work over there. So I want to commend Xbox for that. He continues on. We are not in the business of out consoling Sony or out consoling Nintendo. There isn't really a great solution or win for us. I know this will upset people, but it's just the truth of the matter of being in third place in console sales. The top two players are as strong as they are, and they are making deals that make things hard for us at Xbox. That's on us, not anyone else. So he's saying, yeah, things are tough, but we got to figure that out. And then he says, our vision at Xbox is that everyone who is on console has to feel that they have a great experience and they are a first class citizen.
Wait, can I make a point right there?
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a lot
and
there.
then it kind of goes into even more. But yeah, go ahead.
So part to give a little context to this conversation, the other part that he was talking about, and it was something that I actually heard on Season Gaming. Shout out to Ains and Ty Guy and Dan. I think it was actually last Sunday. Travis was talking about this point that like part of the issue here is that when they sold the Series X, we didn't even know about the Series S yet, but the Series X was first announced, and we see all these previews like it's going to run native 60 FPS on everything. Everything's 4K.
The most powerful console in the world.
100%, right? That's the way it was marketed. But the reality is the computing power that is in even your Series X, right? is never going to compete with top of the line computers, PCs.
But to be fair, I want to interrupt that there. It was powerful. Bacon,
It was.
remember right there at launch, that's when the consoles can compete the most with PCs is right at launch for maybe what, a couple months, right?
Yeah.
They were incredible values
Right.
and they were powerful
12
to
teraflops
play
of
last
computing
gen
power.
games. And now that things are improving, correct. This was a great point. I'm glad you brought it up, Jose. So
It
go
was.
ahead.
So I think part of the issue that we're running into now, again, 3-4 years into this cycle, is that unfortunately that hardware just doesn't change. And the way that consoles are designed by design is that they're not upgradable like that, right? So you can't just buy a new GPU for your console. And so you start running into this weird problem that is almost Xbox created because they are pushing so much into the PC space.
Console created, I would say.
Well, just the company created, right? If you're going to push into PC space, you're going to naturally have this issue. And they also, for the record, I don't want to get totally over to seated gaming, but they had a great conversation about Jedi Survivor, that part of the issue that it seems so broken on PC right now is that designing for PC is incredibly hard as compared to a console, whether that's PS5 or Xbox, in the sense that when you have an Xbox, it's the Xbox. There's only one model. There's only one GPU. There's only one CPU that you're all designing your platform for. Same with the PS5. But when you're going to PC land, you have to run the gamut of graphics cards. You have to run the gamut of CPU. You have to run a good 15-year terrain of computing stuff that has come out. That's very, very hard to do. And where this is ultimately leading is back to my conversation of that as Xbox pushes into this gaming on anything model, which again, I agree with Dan 100%. And I'll be honest with you, this is the very first time, somebody mark it down, that I've considered getting a PC that I was kind of like,
and then you're getting the ROG Ally again.
That we'll get to that at the end. But yeah, but that, because I was like, you know what? I for the first time, it just all came together for me saying like, okay, this is the roadmap. And that I don't know if I think we're still a couple generations out of consoles, but it does make sense that down the road, it's not the machine anymore, right? You build your machine, you play the game wherever you want, because that's how you get everyone involved. And I agree with a lot of the conversation that we're going to get into some of the negative stuff now, even though this was a huge contentious issue on the internet today. Everybody was real pissed at Phil because
basically
they felt like he was just conceding, well, we're always going to be third.
Being defeatist, we're never going to compete. And I couldn't disagree with that more. Like,
I agree with you, Dan. 100%.
He's not saying that. He's just saying that realistically, Xbox is and tying into what you're saying, Jose, the whole like you're going to build a PC. That's kind of like why we've made this analogy before. Xbox is the Android. Like they're allowing you to play and do however you want, wherever you want, with different multiple hardware providers, with PCs, with the ROG Ally, with the Steam Deck, with an Xbox Series X or S PCs. And whereas PlayStation is the Apple. They keep things closed. They've wanted to forever. It's the higher end, elegant machine that, but just like Apple, and I hate to say that, but it's very, you can see how similar they are. So Bacon, did you want to say, oh wait, Bacon, I want to shout out Goose here really quick. He said, I agree about consoles, the whole console and having a great experience. He said, also the wife says the console is more aesthetically pleasing. And that is a big piece for some people. Some people don't want to have a giant PC tower sitting next to their TV like I'm considering doing. And I'm not going to lie, my entertainment stand right here looks amazing with the Xbox and the PS5.
You used to get those comments on your YouTube video.
Yeah, dude, that video. So yeah, so it's like, it does look good. But I do want to add the PC down the road. But again, that is a lot more work on me. And Bacon refuses to build me
that's not true.
Tower
Bacon
with.
said
Yes, he does. He did not.
He
He said he will not build me an AMD, all AMD powered CPU, GPU.
If you want another Xbox sitting next to you, let me know.
So anyway, so Bacon, do you have a response to this quote, or do you want me to keep reading the other? Like, what do you think? I don't think he's being defeatist at all. I think he's being realistic and just saying, hey, things are tough. And do you want me to read this next part about the?
No, let me, before I lose my spot. Before Xbox put all their games on PC and started supporting the PC platform the way they did, these issues never came up. We had closed ecosystems. We had the PlayStation, we had the Xbox, and the Xbox games can perform as well as they wanted, and they were never being compared to what they're seeing on the PC. So when they announced the Xbox in 2019, it was being compared to a 2080 at that time. We are now 2 generations past that in that much time. The speed at which PC hardware and components mature, and it's it's absurd what the 50 series is going to do for us. It's just ridiculous. And so that's the one sticking point is console. You're right away, first couple months, and then all of a sudden the 30 series came out and it was already completely behind the times at that point. And don't get me wrong, I think the Xbox is a fine platform, but for someone who strives to have the best of everything, I only turn on my Xbox anymore to collect my weeklies that I get from the rewards app. It's seriously
he just does the
daily
rewards app. Yeah,
Daily
and
rewards,
that's it. Because and that's the whole thing is, before.
But Bacon, that's you. You are hardcore.
Right,
You
I
build
get
everybody. He's got a $5,000 PC over there. He tells us all
made
the
an
time.
upgrade to it
Rocking that
today.
4090.
And he's also in an office, sitting down in his desk chair, dual monitors. He has that set up. Most people who play casual gaming are like me with the couch, laid back, playing on a TV.
You know as well as I do, you can sync a wireless controller with
I
a
know.
wireless headset and sit on your couch.
I'm not disagreeing. I've played on PC.
Gaming is not the bugaboo that everybody thinks PC gaming
I
is.
agree, but
everyone's so afraid of
I
PC
don't
gaming.
disagree with you, Bacon. I love my laptop. I love my laptop, and it's a 1660, and it still absolutely destroys at 1080p. I can play all modern games at 60 FPS. So what I want to say is, you're right. You're right. PC gaming is not nearly as difficult or to get into at all. It's actually more accessible than ever.
Yep.
But it's still not as convenient as a console, as a Series S, as a Series X, or a PS5, which people go out and go crazy to buy. So, by the way, Goose, did you tell my wife to come up and slap me? Because what the heck was that about? She just randomly was laughing and slapped me across my face. Thanks for that. I'm assuming you texted her or something. So moving on with the quotes here.
Sorry.
Okay, he said, I see it out there. And this is, again, these were banger slinger comments right here. This is where it got crazy. This was at the end of the interview. I see it out there that if this is Phil saying this, I see it out there that if you just make great games, things would turn around. It's just not true. If we have great games, that you are going to see console sales shift in some dramatic way. We lost the worst generation to lose in the Xbox One generation, where everyone began and built their digital library of games. And I want to point out, you guys, I have been saying this for years. I said, as soon as you saw that this is how you share games, I will never forget. I was working at Tipsy's at the time. I was watching this on my lunch break, the Xbox One reveal, and then the PlayStation One. I was like, it's over. All that momentum from the 360, they are done. It was a serious fatality, Jose. And it was crazy to see the internet, because this was the dawn of the beginning of Twitter and YouTube, and like everybody went off on Xbox at that time. You start off the generation in a hole. You never catch up. People switch to PlayStation. People start buying games on PlayStation. They got absolutely annihilated, and it's hard, again, tying into that ecosystem thing, Jose, with Apple, with Android. Who is going to switch when you have all of your apps and all of your files saved to stupid iCloud or something like that? Why would you want to switch to Android? And he said 90% of people who walk in to buy a new console, they already have a tie to one of the three ecosystems of their games, and their games and library is there. The continuity is too strong. I hear people want to go back into the old way of selling games and sales numbers for consoles, but that isn't the reality. And Jose, play the clip. Everybody, we're going to play a clip for Phil's thoughts right here. And this really, I was blown away by all of this.
All right, here we go.
I see a lot of pundits out there that kind of want to go back to the time where we all had cartridges and discs, and every new generation was a clean slate, and you could switch the whole console share. That's just not the world that we are in today. There is no world where Starfield's an 11 out of 10 and people start selling their PS5s. That's not going to happen. So what we have to do, and we have this unique vision because we see what creators want to do. Creators want to build games that can meet players on any screen. People play with their friends regardless of what other screen they're on. And the console is the core of the Xbox brand. There's no doubt. So So like we will stay focused on making sure that console experience is awesome. But I know some people want to hold us up of just being a better green version of what the blue guys do. And I'm just going to say, like, there's not a win for Xbox in staying in the wake of somebody else. We have to go off and do our own thing with Game Pass, with the stuff we do with xCloud, and the way we build our games.
Yeah, man, 100%. Like it's the
Okay.
whole point about the blue versus green. Crazy.
Okay. Yeah. So, Jose, sorry, I don't even know where to start. Okay, so I'll start with that Starfield quote. All right, and it's so funny he said this because earlier, and I took a screenshot of this. Derek Strickland, shout out to Derek. We used his article, the Xbox comparison. He tweeted this one day ago. This was before the day before the interview. Xbox needs another one of these moments, and it was the Halo 3 Believe trailer. Everyone was so hyped. Remember those
Yep.
trailers, the stop motion with the action. And then I said, and this is so bizarre. I said, honestly, I think that even if something like this happens, and let's say Starfield is a 10 out of 10 game of a generation, it won't change the perception of Xbox. Ever since the infamous Xbox reveal and the E3 of 2013, Xbox was placed as the inferior product according to the internet. And then we have Phil saying the exact same thing about even if Starfield's 11 out of 10 game, people aren't going to go selling their PS5s. And Jose, correct me if I'm wrong, he said, I think I tweeted this. What did he say about Xbox and being the Team Green comment?
Well, he's just saying it's not about making a machine that's 10% or 20% better than the other team. That's just not the way that we're going to choose to go as a company. We're going this other way.
Oh no, he said, I want to close up. He said,
Yeah.
some people just want us to hold us up as just being the better green version of what the blue guys do. There's not a win in Xbox in staying in the wake of somebody else. We have to go off and do our own thing. And that quote, as I said, this is why I play Xbox. I don't want them to be PlayStation. I sincerely do. If they started doing the same games as PlayStation, what's the point, guys? Why don't we just all play the same PlayStation games? And this is why I am a huge fan of Xbox, because I don't want them to be PlayStation. I made my home on Xbox and buy random PlayStation games because they are different. And I love that quote so much. Sorry, tying into what you were saying, Jose, they have to do their own thing, and they're never going to out console Sony. They're never going to out console Nintendo. I've been saying this for years. Their reputation was so badly damaged. I really do believe that from E3 2013. They have to choose their own path. They've been disrupting the video game industry, and man, if they would have gotten Activision Blizzard, that would have been another big move. Jose, give me your thoughts on those closing statements from Phil at the end of this interview.
Well, just honestly, like this is where I just kind of left it, and I was like, man, I see it. And because again, when I started this going into the news from the last week or so, I wasn't giving up on being an Xbox fan. Like I still am enjoying Redfall. I love the other game I'm playing, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Like I wasn't down on just saying like I'm gonna walk away from gaming. I've loved this industry since I was a little boy. I will love it for a very long time. I want to instill that love into my own children and stuff like that. I'm very proud of it. But it just doesn't feel good, right? And I've even said on the show, and I stand by it, I don't want Xbox to be better than Sony. I just want everyone to be happy and playing good games. And I think the frustration that I've had is not that we're quote unquote losing to someone else. It's just that like it is a bummer when you have bugs. It is a bummer when the hype doesn't meet what you're looking for. And again, I'm in a very fortunate position myself that like I'm not so worried about like the money of buying games like I was when I was a kid or when I was younger, but I feel bad for those that are, right? Like I feel bad for someone
who can only pick one system,
who's only picking one, or they don't have Game Pass and they went all in on Redfall because despite like Goose, like they love vampires, like this is going to be sweet. And then imagine that's all you get. And like, yeah, I guess you can go sell it back to GameStop for 40% of the original price, but like, that doesn't feel good, man. You know what I mean? And so it's a bummer. It's one of those, like their quote earlier, like when this bad thing happens, it's loss for everyone. It's not just a loss for Arcane or Xbox. So I really, really admired everything that came out of this interview. And shout out to like Greg and Paris and everyone. Like, they were very good about moving things along, asking hard questions, getting as many answers as they could in a very short period of time. Like, it was incredible, man.
Yeah.
Hats off to Kinda Funny XCast, 100%.
Bacon, your thoughts there on the 11 out of 10 star field, and it's not going to change things. And yeah,
Well, he's right, because the one game that kept me in this ecosystem was Halo. And, no matter what Sony put out wasn't going to force me to go out and become a primary Sony gamer. I'm an Xbox gamer because I love Halo 2 multiplayer, and I played decades of it. It feels like at this point. Phil just knows he's not going to break through in a lot of these markets that we don't particularly do well in, Japan and the UK. We're not going to break through. We're not going to force people to go and sell their PS5. So they have to do something different. That's why 6-7 years ago, he started thinking up Game Pass. It's the correct answer. We have to have a different business model to stay relevant. So Phil he's incredibly candid at this point. He knows the chips are stacked against. We're already being outsold 2-1 almost in this generation. It is what it is, but I mean, we can't have console sales stack up against console sales because a lot of
and I was just going to say,
play on PC Game Pass.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they might be getting outsold 2-1 on console hardware, but what about all those sales on PC?
Right.
And like that's got to count for something.
Is that driving new GPU sales when the new GPUs come out? Is that because people now know they can get their Xbox games on PC, they can get their Sony games, and I don't care what anyone says, those games are going to start coming.
They're going to start coming
faster and faster, and then you can get ROMs for your Nintendo games. So you can't just sit there and put Xbox sales in a box. You can't just say, well, Xbox only sold 20 million Xbox Series X's, but there could be another 10 million PCs that are sold or that are subscribers to Game Pass. Now, given we pay less than y'all do for PC Game Pass, but it is what it is.
Why wouldn't you have Ultimate? I mean, that's what I don't understand.
Ultimate's the only way to go. So it's frustrating, but it's good to see that Phil's not oblivious to what's going on. And you would never get an interview like this from Jim Ryan. As much as they all stood on the mountaintops and screamed how good
we are the
Forspoken
best. We are Sony.
Forspoken, it's ours. It's going to be great. And then it sucks. And not one Sony executive came out and took any
or Destruction All-Stars
accountabilities. I have that game, and that game is hot garbage.
Which is West, Destruction or Redfall?
Destruction is worse than Red. It is. That was a bad game. It was fun for like 8 minutes, and you're like, oh, this is it. Anyways, you would never get this kind of accountability. They don't talk to you on Twitter. They don't. I follow Phil on Xbox. I know what he's playing every minute of the day.
Dude, he's a gamer, man.
He is a true gamer. That guy had like 600 hours in Vampire Survivor.
Maybe he's playing too many games.
How could you not want him as the leader of this company, right?
I
like
know.
You want someone who represents who you are. He is us. He is one of us.
Here's my only counter argument to what you're saying, Bacon, is that, yes, you're right. Sony would never do that. But at the same time, Sony does deliver quality first-party games for the most part. But then I would counter that, like, why aren't people destroying Sony this year have they had one first-party Sony exclusive yet this year? No. Are they going to have one this year? One that we know of.
Maybe.
Spider-Man. That's the only first-party Sony game that we know is coming out this year. Final Fantasy does not count. That is a Square Enix timed exclusive. That is not first-party. So besides Spider-Man, why aren't people freaking out about PlayStation in the year that they're having this year? To be fair, they did have a pretty good previous 2 years with Horizon and Gran Turismo and God of War. But even 2021, they didn't have that great of a year. Xbox had a banger single year. So wrapping up the interview here, I did want to ask, I saw some stuff from various places, but I remember David Jaffe was pointing out, should we be concerned? I know this is kind of random, but like he was pointing out, should we be concerned about Phil Spencer's mental health? Do you feel like he is taking almost too much of this and is taking this more personal? Like, should we be worried about him? And is this taking is this too much for him? Like, because some people were sensing towards the end of the interview, and Benji Sales mentioned this as well, like saying you could just tell he was maybe pressured or feeling the stress of everything going on, and he kind of fell apart at the end of this interview. Jose, I want to ask you, did you get that sense? Because I didn't really get that sense, because even at the end, like Snowbike might try to turn it around for the last question. He's like, I've had grumpy Phil this whole time. Let me hear you smile. Tell me something positive. And Phil did laugh about that. And he talked about I'm an optimist. I love the shred the pow. And he mentioned some games that he was playing. So Jose, did you get any sense of like, maybe this is too much for Phil and he's really taking this hard and he's a little mentally, drained and depressed maybe?
I mean, I'm sure he's mentally drained. Like that's I mean, there is not
I mean,
a person
that with
on this planet
Activision too. I mean,
that this is your whole job is basically running this, and you're kind of the PR face of the company. Like it's he even said, he goes, I've had better 2 weeks than I've had in the last 2. But he also followed that up by saying, to be fair, they pay me a ridiculous amount of money to do this. I love my job. So I think that he's very good at putting like context of what he does. He's like, I know what my job is and I love my job and I'm excited to be part of my job, but I also know there are days that are going to be like this, and I think he's going to be fine, to answer your question. I also appreciate we follow a lot of kind of the executive team on Twitter and stuff. And a lot of them, they weren't necessarily like directly supporting Phil, like we stand with Phil or anything like that. I don't think that's even necessary. But we saw like the quote from Sarah Bond, I'm sure Greenberg will have stuff out there, just like they are a team. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a low time right now. That sucks when that happens, but like they're going to be okay through it. And I think I didn't get the sense that Phil was like having a mental breakdown. I think Phil was definitely defending his company as he should, as his job is, but he also was talking to his friends. Like I understand that they're pundits and I understand that there's a relationship they have, but Phil has the relationship with them. He knows the kind of fundy guys. He knows
them,
like,
but this was in the debrief, Jose. Snowback Mike was like, I've talked to him maybe once for a few minutes. Like they really don't have that close of a relationship. Maybe a little bit with Paris because he's hosted a couple of things, and Gary back in his old PC games, but I would say a working relationship. I don't think it's as close as you think it is. Kind of funny though. Their whole mantra is we are a bunch of best friends all together in this. I will say
you're right. But I guess what I'm getting at is what we started with, that like when they even said, they alluded to this in the interview, that when they booked Phil for this a long time ago, because I'm sure Phil's schedule is very busy, they didn't think this was the conversation they were going to happen. They thought it was going to be about how Redfall's a banger, right? And it was amazing and all the stuff. And then this happened.
Excited about.
And he even said, I fully expected to hear from the PR people saying like, I'm sorry, Phil had something come up. He has to cancel. And they instead got the call that said, hey, he's ready to go. He'll be ready on time. And they were kind of like, oh, okay, it's still happening. And that to me speaks volumes, that Phil knew what he was getting into. He knew it was the best choice to solve this, right? And I cannot stop applauding that enough. I know I feel like I'm gushing, but I am, man. That takes a lot of guts to do that. That's all I would say.
Completely agree. Bacon, any thoughts on Phil and his mental?
Let's be honest. The only way Phil Spencer hears all this is because he is actively engaging with his fans on Twitter. He doesn't just allow the Xbox account or the Game Pass account to tweet everything. Phil is actively engaging in the community, which is something we all appreciate. Now we can get in there and white knight for him all we want and defend him, but he knows he's a big public figure on a big public forum against a lot of people who just do not like his product, and it's never going to change. So it's got to be stressful. He's probably had a pretty bad few weeks with Activision and all this stuff. So yeah, maybe he needs to take a week off, head down to Maui, hang out with the kids, reset, come back and close this Activision deal. But it feels they've been dealing with this since 2013. I mean, he's like the Teflon Don at this time. I can't imagine
That's a great reference right there.
Right.
I love it.
I can't imagine he's going to sit home and the Sony fans, they're attacking me on Twitter, as he looks at his bank account and he's like, yep, I'm good.
I mean,
he's playing his ROG ally.
True. I mean, yeah. So here's the thing. I do think he is a genuine fan of Xbox. Like he's been there from the beginning and he wants to see it succeed. And I'm sure this hurts and he does take some things personal, but
Phil wants to be the nice guy. And when people are accusing him of not being the nice guy and all this crap coming out from the CMA of them saying Xbox in general or Microsoft is not the nice guy, and it actually probably does pain him inside to have those kind of things written about.
I don't even know if Phil wants to be the nice guy. I think he just wants to be
He wants to be
I
the
just
nice guy in
I think he
gaming.
just wants to be a fan. I just think he wants people to know that he is
He's
a
proud of
genuine
what he does,
Exactly,
yes.
a fan of gaming. So, guys, a phenomenal interview. I was going to ask you about these thoughts that Benji posted up about Phil being defeated and how the Switch changed dramatically from the Wii U. I don't know if you saw that, Bacon. You probably did. I don't know. We can talk about that another time, but I just again want to give a huge shout out to Phil Spencer. He did not have to do this interview. And like Jose said, the fact that he did shows so much, and the honesty we got. I was in a down place. I was jokingly saying to you guys, "Oh, I'm gonna play my PS5 all the time. I'm not gonna play Xbox anymore." I really didn't
That
do
was
that.
a joke?
I played Astros, whatever the heck that Playroom, and that game was. By the way, that probably got like 8s. That game is like a 5. I mean, you just jump around, and it's not very good. But anyway, I got a platinum on that. Was waiting for Redfall, but I was kind of down on Xbox. Not down, disappointed. And then hearing this interview, I was just like, you know what? I got it. This is why I continue to support
Hyped for
them.
June 11th,
Dude,
but
I'm just you can't help but want to cheer for the underdog, and not only just the underdog, but a person in Phil who, like I just said, is just a fan and is proud of what they're doing. And I'm very proud to be the Nerd Chat and Xbox podcast. I was thinking maybe we should just change our name to the Gaming Podcast, but we'll stick for Xbox for now. We'll stick.
Download requires a restart.
Don't say anything, Bacon. Shut up. So,
and
we don't
the
wanna
very
get-
last
yeah.
thing he did, we really did promote the ROG Ally. Like he called it the ROG Ally, which was hilarious. But
Yeah,
but
I want to say ROG Ally too. It's easier to say because anyway, guys, let's we're gonna go through quick news right now because I want to hear your impressions on Redfall. So quick news stories. These are going to be super quick. I don't even really want to talk about any of them. These are just kind of announcements for everybody because we want to get into what we've been playing. First one, the Xbox Game Showcase is officially Sunday, June 11th. Everybody mark your calendars at 10 a.m. Pacific. So that will be 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern, June 11th, Sunday. We should plan you guys to do a live stream reaction to that if we can.
Let's do
Bacon,
it.
me and you for sure. Let's do it. Jose,
I think I
who
could do
knows?
that on a Sunday. Yeah.
Okay, so and then
Oh, I'm on
Starfield
summer
Direct
then. Yes. Yeah.
right after. I don't know if I'll be off then. Next quick news story. Halo Infinite Sight Unseen event is on now. There are more unlocks to unlock right now. The Sight Unseen event runs for 2 weeks from May 2nd to May 16th. And we'll see the return of new Big Team Battle Unlimited playlists where Super Escalation Slayer will get the spotlight. And Season 3's new mode, Escalation Slayer, just got even better. So shout out Jose, guys. We're going to have to play Goose.
Yep.
We need to play some
10 tier
Halo.
pass. Yeah.
Can't wait to do this event. Next quick news story coming soon to Game Pass. Available already, Redfall. We'll get into that in a second. Coming also available right now, Ravenlock. This game snuck up on me. I definitely am gonna have to check this out. So basically, it says enter the world of wonder and danger in Ravenlock, an action-packed fairy tale adventure by Coco Cucumber. Follow your curiosity through a mystical mirror into a lost land of terrifying monsters and a malevolent queen. Wield your sword, unleash your spells, and fight your way through beastly bosses and lush handcrafted environments. I believe this is like a little
They said Souls-like, right?
more Zelda inspired. I believe
Okay.
it was what it's like. Next game, Weird West Definitive Edition. I didn't know they were making a definitive edition. I got 1,000 out of 1,000 this game. Me and Jose both played it. It was okay. It was
okay.
If you haven't played it, I think it's worth checking out for sure, right, Jose? Just see if you like it.
It's a 3 out of 5.
Shadowrun Trilogy, May 9th is coming out. And then Fuga, Melodies of Steel 2, Cloud Console and PC, May 11th. We also, Quantum Break is available on console and PC back again. Besiege is back available now. Grounded got an update. Lego Star Wars, you get a free character. And leaving May 15th. Before We Leave is leaving Cloud Console PC. Danganronpa 2 is leaving. Hearts of Iron 4, Her Story, and Umurangi Generation Special Edition is leaving as well. And closing the news with our favorite topic, games with gold for May 2023.
It's still a thing, huh?
Actually,
it's for Pony.
Banger Slayer
It's for
you're on here.
Pony.
Pony has been streaming this right now. Everyone, you can go download Star Wars Racer, episode 1 Racer. Go get it in those stupid pod racers. Pod. What are they called?
Pod Racer, right?
Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Go get some pod racing action and play as a young Anakin. Go download that like I said, or not Bacon. Miso Pony has been streaming this. Wow. Episode 1 racing. And is this HOA? HOA? Is this an HOA? Homeowners Association? This is also out May 16th through June 15th. Your games with gold. And a quick last news story tying into what we've been playing. There are introducing Redfall limited edition controllers with Xbox Design Lab. Man, some of these designs are kind of cool,
Yeah.
but too bad it's for a game that's, well, let's just get into it. So, by the way, you can get I do like the Bite Back controller, the one with the red fangs. And the
That
red and
logo
black.
is dope.
Yeah,
The Bite Back
It's
logo
sick.
is
That
dope.
logo's sick.
dope.
Everything about that is cool. I kind of like that purple one too. That kind
Red
of reminds me of
sticks.
Joker. So cool designs. But let's jump into it, guys. What have we been playing? And I'm gonna throw it over.
Go
Do we
to
want to
Bacon
start with the
first.
good news
Go
or
to-
the bad
go to
news?
Bacon
Okay,
first.
so Bacon, we're to talk about what we've been playing and our Redfall impressions. I will start very quickly. I have not played Redfall. I am sending a message. For once, I'm waiting. I am going to wait until that 60 FPS patch comes out. And then, only then, maybe will I jump into Redfall. And I was so excited, and it pains me, but I am not playing it. And I'm proud of myself, guys. I have not played Redfall. I've been
Wow.
playing Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice. I'm about 3 hours in. Cool game.
Hard.
I don't know if it's grabbing me like the Elden Ring and the Souls games are. It is different.
fair.
It is very much. I can see the connections to Wolong though, for sure. I'm actually glad I played it because it's definitely way more Wolong than any kind of Souls game I've played. It's cool. I think it's very. I can see why people really like it. I'm still feeling it out, Bacon. Like it took me a while to really get into Elden Ring to understand it. I'm still in the phase where I'm still feeling it out, right? And sometimes I feel like my parries are great. Sometimes there are these lunge attacks where I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I dying? So I'm still figuring it out. I don't know, Cordy, if I'm going to go for the 1,000, this I can already tell because I think you have to play it at least 2 times with some sort of save scum that you have to do, or 4 times total. So I don't know if I can do that 4 times. If I was a young man like you, but I do like Sekiro. I'm still feeling it out. So also shout out to JBiz. I am playing Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Also played Astrobot, mentioned that, got the platinum trophy for that. But again, that was simple. I don't think it's worth your time. I'm gonna be honest. I do not think Astrobot is worth your time. It's a glorified controller demo. It was cool.
It's
Even
a
to
love
learn the
letter.
controller? Even
No.
to learn the controller?
No. I don't
You can
think
blow into your controller at any time.
Oh god! And there was this one part where you have to do these motion things with climbing. Oh, it's so annoying. It's just gimmicks. And even from the 5 minutes of doing that, Bacon, I was like, I do not want to be doing this for a long time because this is annoying. And I was starting to get pains in my wrists from it's just all the motion stuff. It sucked. It was not that great. Now Redfall impressions. Bacon, you are not a fan of this game. Tell me, no spoilers. Try not to be too harsh, Bacon. Why do you think so poorly of Redfall?
Redfall fundamentally, as it sits right now, is a broken mess. I have never in my life seen a game where you can walk up
Broken
behind-
mess, worse than
Dude,
Cyberpunk.
It's the AI.
console.
Is the AI in this game is so inept. You can literally walk up to an enemy human, the co-conspirators, we'll call them, and melee them one time in the back, and they are dead. There's no choke animation. You know how sometimes you grab them, you can pull them away and then choke them and put them down. You walk up and go. It's literally a punch, Dan.
That much worse than a
bad.
Far Cry AI.
It's
Or is it comparable? Maybe I'll
it's
say that for
comparable.
Jose.
It is hideous. And I know Chapo's going to agree with me on this because you just literally walk up behind them and like that little love tap and they're dead. They're out of it. The shooting is real floaty. It's not sharp at all. but the most part, I found myself just walking around the enemy and just like, hey guys, waving at them. I'm like, hey, oh, you guys are protecting this area, and I'm just gonna stroll on through Redfall. I don't know if they can tune that and fix that, but you'll go sections and you clear out a safe house and you got to go find another mission. You won't run into a soul the entire time till you get to where you got to go. Completely lifeless town until you get to the point. So what's the point of even having us walk places? You can't enter half the buildings in the town
The
to even
setting,
loot
the
'em.
ambiance.
Yeah, like that's cool. Like the whole world
hear the
around
art direction is
Redfall,
good.
yes, I think that's really cool. And the art style I like. I just don't think they can fix the AI and or lack thereof, because it is, Dan, you're gonna laugh. And that's why I'm telling you, I don't think the 60 frames patch is going to help.
Oh,
any of this.
I agree. I said as soon as they weren't gonna fix it, like clearly, like nothing's saving this game.
Like, yeah, I don't think you can clear it's a shooter that's made by a team that's not used to making shooters. So Phil is right with all of his
not
statements
used to
earlier.
making co-op, loot-driven, open world, frenetic shooters. Is that a little bit more accurate? Because Prey was a shooter,
Yeah,
not a very good one, but it
right.
was a decent shooter.
This has been a huge letdown, and I played it on PC and I played it on Xbox, and I was playing it at 130 frames on PC. I don't know how anyone can stomach that at 30 frames. It's real smeary. It's just not aesthetically pleasing at all to me. But that's just me at this point. I just, I don't even know if they should have released the game, to tell you the truth. They probably should have just scrapped it. I don't know. I don't know how it gets this far in the process without any play testers, anybody in-house going, guys, we should probably ratchet up this AI. And playing it on hard difficulty doesn't do anything. It's just like, I think that's the most disappointing thing is
Are you playing it on
melee.
hard bacon?
Yeah, it's
so your biggest things are AI. It's just
AI.
it's not up to par.
The AI is
okay,
brain dead.
Bacon. Let's
It
say
makes
the AI
Ellie-
was better. How would it raise the score of this game?
It
to
would,
you?
because it would make the game more of a challenge.
Okay.
Like
So,
I launched
by
my
the
little
way,
raven. I
Ellie's
launched
great.
my little raven that's supposed to go fly around and tell me if there's bad guys there, and he doesn't tell me anything. And then I go turn on a generator and I get sniped from a rooftop.
Okay.
I hadn't seen anybody in 45 minutes, and all of a sudden this dude snipes me. It's like, okay. They need to add more to this world. There needs to be.
Do you think it would be
NPCs
more fun in co-op?
No, because I've heard from people who are playing co-op that it doesn't scale to more people. There'll be the same amount of enemies on screen, no matter if there's 1 or 4 of you. And so if you have 4 competent people at playing a shooter, you're just gonna hot
you'd
knife through
smoke
butter.
people on this for
Yeah.
sure. I didn't know
Next,
it could scale.
next quick question. Performance on PC good though, right?
Yeah, I mean, it bounces from 100 to 138 frames for me with DLSS. I was actually shocked. I told you guys right away. I'm like, wow, this thing's actually running fairly well on PC. And it's hard for me to completely attack the graphics, but it's their art style. It's definitely in the vein of an arcane game. So I can't just say, oh, it's not photorealistic. Yeah, they got big hands.
But you're
and big
saying
claws
performance for you doesn't hurt the game at all?
No.
Okay, it's strictly the AI.
Oh God, the AI is it's a travesty to call it AI at this point. It is so lifeless and brain dead. But let's hear what your post.
Yeah, let's hear Jose. Jose, your
So
spin on Redfall.
to be fair, I agree with Bacon on that point. Like because we were chatting earlier today, I was like, man, if this is the first time I'm going to disagree with Bacon. Usually, he and I are pretty on the same side against Dan. Usually, the AI I agree is it's not, to me personally, it's not as offensive, I think it is to Bacon, but it is noticeable. I mean, like I agree with you.
Basic.
I saw a video from Destin Legary over at IGN today where he was against a boss, and he was also frustrated because like literally one of the or a lot of the bosses, I should say, have these like floating shields around them that like have gaps to shoot through. And he literally showed an example where he literally ran inside of the gap and was just standing there. And the vampire would just kind of look at him. He'd reload a gun. He would switch his other gun. He'd reload that gun, all while inside of this. And the vampire wouldn't even try to attack him. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty broken. Like that's a messed up AI. I also agree with Bacon to the point that it is pretty open. It reminds me of kind of like the scenes in like Walking Dead where they're just walking and nothing's happening. Like that's the Walking Dead kind of thing. I feel like when I fight people, it is fun for me. And the controls I felt were very bizarre for me at first. And then I saw the Ains from Season Game actually posted this really nice thing, like change the setting and adjust your sensitivity. That helped me a ton. So if that's part of it, where it's feeling weirdly sluggish or anything about the gun, try that. That helped me a ton. I felt it was much more control, but it's at first I thought it was really cool that it was open because I was like, okay, it's like a dead town and you got to find the pockets. But I also think it's a little bit weird that it's so open world at first. I don't, because of the way the story is written and where you're kind of going to safe houses. I almost wish that it was more like I should clarify. There are parts of the map that you can't get to because there's this like red mist, right? Like it's like toxic to you if you want to think of it like that. I almost feel like a healthy chunk of the map should have been toxic to kind of funnel you at first and give you some more direction and then open up areas. Instead, you go from this beginning part and it's pretty much just like wide open. You can go anywhere you want. And that just feels almost like weirdly wasteful of time, if that makes sense. And I'm enjoying the game in the sense that like I like playing it. I want to get back to playing some of it tonight. Like I don't mind exploring a little bit. I love the looting element of it. I like the gun element of it, the leveled guns. I now have one of each type of gun, so I'm having fun playing with that. I think it's super satisfying when you kill a vampire. Like I like all of those elements. But I feel like what's going to happen, and I'm worried about, is that the story is going to feel very disjointed because there's not a correct order for the story. And because you can kind of go do non-story stuff for so long, and then you get back and you're like, what was I doing? Oh yeah, that's what I got to go do. Like that part worries me because I was actually really excited for the lore of the story. And I specifically meant talking about Ains. He talked about that in his review later on in the game.
Yeah, he says it gets real good.
He said it's really cool. So I'm excited for that as well. But he was like 30 hours in at that point. So like, I know that I got to grind to some stuff to get through, which like, that doesn't feel as good.
Do you think you're going to finish this game?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Well, then you're doing the review.
because my
cutscenes.
They're okay.
The watercolored, no animation.
Cutscenes to me, I'm not like big on that.
I like a game.
I heard that, Bacon. I heard people, oh, why could they have like great... Dude, cutscenes really matter though, and I mean, I'll think if you're like, to me, I think there's a balance. If I'm having fun in a game, Elden Ring had 0 cutscenes. I mean, if it did, they were like, dude, Elden Ring's cutscenes were like 30 seconds, very sparingly.
The cutscenes don't bother me honestly as much as the character design. I like the vampires, but I just think they look goofy. The people, and I know that's a stylistic choice.
How long did that first boss take you on the roof of that building? How long did he take you?
Are you talking about in the church?
It was like I ran into a boss on top of a museum.
No, because you talk about that. I didn't do that one. I fought one in the not the steeple, but like in the top floor of the church. It took me 12 seconds to kill him. Like, yeah. And
to be fair, it's over.
Yeah. So I want, that's why I want to get to the gods piece, because I'm hoping that will be a little bit more cool and different. I do worry honestly about it getting a little stale. Like I feel like it's going to be like, go here, clear out this nest, fight a mini boss. Go here.
I mean, but were people saying that about Ghostwire too? Like,
yeah, man. Anyway, I want to talk about Ghostwire too, because I've been playing that too a little bit. But I want to keep playing Redfall.
I would love for you to do a review for us on Redfall, Jose.
Once I get through, because here's the thing, that was my next big game until Diablo, basically. So I have,
me too.
I mean, I still want to finish. I don't know if I'm going to finish Ghostwire. I kind of still want to, but I'm kind of on the fence. And then the other game I'm playing, I want to finish, but it'll be a lot faster. And then I'll finish Redfall before Diablo comes out for sure. So I'll do a review then. If you drop off, man, no worries. I get it. You know, sometime I would love to maybe try to do co-op, but you chose Jacob, right? I chose Jacob as well for my guy.
I can pick anybody. It really doesn't matter. I don't think any of them are fundamentally any different.
Yeah.
Can I talk about the other game I've been playing?
Yeah, please.
Quickly. Yeah, let's do it quick.
Jedi Survivor. I'm 29 hours into that freaking game, and it is absolutely freaking phenomenal.
Even though you're getting 30 frames.
No, I'm getting like 92 now. It's had like 3 updates since then. It improved on everything from the first one. You now have some sidekicks. The open world.
No spoilers.
You go to planets and you got to come back to this planet and get to places that were walled off earlier.
Here the map is still crap. Joseph was saying it today.
Easier.
Not even really improved.
Easier.
So disappointing.
It's easier. Trust me. I'm able to find my way around it, but the customization for the characters, everything about it is
your hick
everything.
Cal Kestis.
That's my trailer park Cal Kestis. So it is definitely worth it. That's the thing, is the performance issues in there have not taken away any of my enjoyment of that game, because I am a
which I've
huge
heard.
Star Wars simp. I am Star Wars.
Have you watched every like Andor and everything like that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I've
gosh,
not
I
missed
can't
anything.
keep up with that.
That's something when I was a kid was just so huge. Star Wars.
Bacon, I bought it. I'm just waiting until July. Like that, it's already planned out.
It's super good.
I'm playing Sekiro. Maybe I will. I don't know if I'm going to stick with Sekiro.
I hear there's less issues on the console version than the PC version.
Yeah.
So
I've heard that too.
It's definitely worth it to get. Dude, the game's good. Multiple fighting stances. Multiple.
What's the total playtime for like a normal playthrough? Like not full playthrough.
Dude, it's got to be at least 30 hours.
It's at least, and I'm not even sure I'm very far in the game. It's wild to me.
Jeez.
You're just having fun playing around and stuff.
Yes, I'm going to every nook and cranny. You get a new ability. You can go into a place that you knew 2 maps ago. You're like, oh, I can get into that spot now, and you find yourself trying to get back there. So, it's a great game.
I can't wait to play. I'll wait.
It sucks it was released in the state it was, and that it had so many issues. But I think with the patches, it's fixed itself, and it is definitely worth your time if you're a Star Wars fan.
I think it'll be a game of the year contender for us. For sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. The other game I was playing was I did play Ghostwire. I like Ghostwire. It is not at all what I thought. Like, I really thought it was more in the horror genre, especially coming from Tango, and it's really not. I mean, there are a couple like undiscerning kind of like experiences you have, and it like wants to be creepy kind of, but it's really not. It's it feels a lot like you are kind of, it's almost honestly weirdly like a Redfall. Like, I just kind of don't know totally where to go. I mean, there are objectives obviously, like I'm basically, I think I'm just going to try to do a straight playthrough. I'm not going to try to do some of the side stuff, but it's just a little disjointed for what I was liking. The story was a little weird to start off with, I think. And I think I'm getting it now. It's where it's going. And again, I don't hate it. It's just different. It's beautiful for sure. And I like the Japanese setting. I like the Japanese lore and stuff, but it just isn't what I thought I was going to get into with like almost a horror game. But the other game I'm playing, I have been loving, and that is The Last Case of Benedict Fox. I know it has also gotten some hate out there from bug stuff. I really haven't encountered any. I have loved it. It reminds me of an Ori. It's very beautiful art style. It's definitely the Metroidvania. It's even the side scroller. But what I have loved about it truly is the puzzles, because they are freaking hard, I think. And I've been trying.
No, I hate puzzles.
I have not cheated on a single one yet. Like, I've literally gotten stuck at a few, and I'm like, I'm gonna come back, and I'll come back because something will change. I'll be like, got it now, and it will work. And that's a very justifying feeling for myself, because I'm a puzzle guy. So I've been loving Benedict Fox. You know what I will say? I thought it was gonna be something I could play in front of my kids, and it kind of is, except that it deals with some incredibly dark and heavy stuff like suicide and some other stuff. And so I realized that pretty quick. Like, you kind of can, if you're just doing the action parts, it's fine. But like, there's some like content that I was like, oh God, did not plan for that. Definitely can't play that in front of kids. So really shout out to them though, because I really enjoyed the game. I don't think it's a very long game. I'm more than halfway through it, so I'll burn through that's probably the next week or so. But I really liked Last Case of Benedict Fox. Again, if you liked Ori, if you like side scrollers, if you like puzzles, it is super in your realm. Bubble Boy, when you hear this from your darkness retreat, you should play it, bud, because you would love it.
I agree, Chapo. If it wasn't for Jedi, I'd be playing that right now as well. 2 hours I played of it before that game launched. I was in, and then Jedi took over everything. So
too many games.
Yep.
Too many games. Guys, let's close the show like we always do with the best food we had this week. I'm not gonna lie, I can't think of something that stands out right away, so I'll just describe to you. I sent this out earlier. Bacon does not know I had this for dinner. Bacon, I had 2 Big Macs and a quarter pounder with cheese for dinner tonight, and that is all I've eaten today. At about 1,900 calories, so still at a deficit because I worked out. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. Guys, I'm super high on McDonald's out of nowhere. Like,
you have been
blowing me away. Dude, I'm like, I've been missing out. This quarter pounder with cheese. Bacon was right. This is McDonald's. I'm sorry.
I won't steer you wrong.
I've been down. So that is the best food I had this week. Bacon, what about you?
I'll always lead you right on McDonald's. That's how I got diabetes, friends. So I haven't eaten anything since Tuesday night when I got food poisoning at a golf tournament.
Oh,
And tonight was basically the first meal I've had, and I had some Panda Express because you can't go wrong with the orange chicken. And
ooh,
it's
good choice, sir. Good choice.
yeah, I needed to get something in the stomach because it's been a real rough couple days. So other than the 2 hot dogs I had at that tournament, which I do believe gave me the food poisoning, that was about it for me.
Dang, bud. I'm sorry, man. I didn't know that. That sucks.
Yeah.
Dang.
Brutal.
Dang. So I'll finish up on a positive note then.
Wait,
I gotta-
Jose, I had to interrupt before I forget. Speaking of soundboard and the dang, can you add a laugh track? That's what I would really like. Is there's a good joke to have
I
the
need to
laugh
figure out
track coming?
how to
Okay,
get
we
my
need to get
soundboard
that
to
in there
work.
because Ains was doing that on one of his little. They did a little like a
Yeah, I can
fundraiser
do
for
that. I can
Hogue.
do that.
Hilarious every time he had the laugh track pop in. So let's get that going. All right, sorry to interrupt. What was the best food you had this week?
Well, it's been a crazy couple of weeks in a great way because I didn't get to do this last week, and I had a banger week before the week that I was sick. Before I got sick, one I get to had some Popeyes the Friday before at work. It was Popeye Friday, sharing it with all the love with the coworkers, which was delightful. So I add one to the count here shortly, and then on top of that, when I got sick on Friday morning, my mom stopped by and brought me a breakfast burrito. So I get to add the breakfast burrito count. And it was actually the ones from up in Green Mountain as well, from actually Burrito Express, which is wonderful. And it was delightful, I have to say. And then after that, so the week, best thing I had, I did go try the new quarter pounder with cheese. I'm not usually a QPC guy. I'm usually a Big Mac guy. I like the nuggets.
Dude,
I
I'm
like
a
the
big
double
fan
stack or
now.
the McDouble and the hot and spicy,
double.
but because of Dan and Bacon, I tried the QPC and it was delightful. Next, I've heard I got to try the bacon, so I'm gonna add the bacon. To
You know what? You know what, Jose? I had it without bacon today.
It's just as
Phenomenal.
good.
It's dude, I didn't know. And then I'm pretty sure I've had the new recipe Big Macs recently because they said they changed the meat and they
Well, they added more sauce, I think.
Dude, it's so much better when they added the more. I'm a big fan of Big Mac now because of the dang sauce.
Okay, I'll have to get a QPC and Big Mac combo soon. We'll see. And then also we grilled today. Today was the first grill of the season. We've been cleaning up the yard and stuff, which felt great. Getting like weed and feed down and all that kind of stuff. And today was a nice enough afternoon. I was dad's night to grill, so grilled up just some burgers. And we tried this new sauce from Trader Joe's. It's like a burger sauce. Check it out. It was absolutely delightful. So it's been a great week of food. Excited to get to the end of the year. That is the best thing I ate this week, man.
Gentlemen, I just want to say again, shout out to the Kinda Funny XCast. Shout out to Snowbike Mike. Shout out to Paris Lily. Shout out to Gary Witta. And of course, Phil Spencer for the phenomenal interview. I just saw that it was number 5 on trending not too long ago. So congratulations to them on a phenomenal interview. Great for gaming everywhere. We need more of this humility, honesty in gaming. Shout out to Phil Spencer. Again, we are forever fans of Xbox. This has been the Nerd Chat episode 105. My name is Daddy Diwali. You can follow me at Daddy Diwali across all social media. I'm also Daddy Diwali on Xbox, PSN. Does Nintendo have anything? I don't know. YouTube. You can follow the show at the Nerd Chat across most social media, sometimes the Nerd Chat podcast. Jose, where can people find you?
You can find me tweeting at Sarah Bond over on Twitter today. I should like to tweet
That's
about
right.
a quote from
Heck
Dr.
yeah.
Martin Luther King Jr. You can find me at Twitter, Chipotle_bear. You can also find me on Instagram at Chipotle Bear, as well as on Xbox Live. Again, thank you for all the fans coming out. Goose, Mickey, B, good to see you guys. And of course, everybody just listening at home or on your ride to work. We really appreciate your guys' support at all times. We really love doing the show and excited for more great content this year. So thanks, everyone.
And Bacon, where can people find you?
I'm just X Bacon Gaming. I'm everywhere. I'm in the midst. I'm all around you.
As always, Xbox lovers, see you online.
See you online.
See you online.
See you online.
You know, Lloyd, just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself.
The Nerd Chat, an Xbox podcast, is a podcast celebrating all things gaming, food, and the good old days. The show was created by Daniel Walensik, and you can follow him at Daddy D. Wally across all social media. The assistant to the co-host is Jose Martinez, and you can follow him at Chipotle_bear. The assistant to the co-host is Chance Siegel, and you can follow him at BubbleBoyN7. The intern to the assistant to the co-hosts is Jason Jarrett, and you can follow him at XBaconGaming. You can also follow the show at The Nerd Chat across all social media. And if you'd like to find out more